right, Kyle? The red light's on. As you know, this is the most nerve-wracking time, right? When everybody gets really nervous
really
and sweaty, you just feel it, right? You can just deep breaths. That's what you got to do. Well, since you're a regular listener,
what'd you have for breakfast?
What did I have for breakfast? Whoa! What's going on here?
We got to do a quick sound check here.
Yeah, we got to do this quick sound check because for some reason I haven't figured out how to do sound yet. You know what I had? I had my regular 2 eggs, bagel, and orange juice. I have that every day. Yeah.
Oh, I'm a cereal guy, so.
Well, I did have some cereal yesterday.
Simple and okay.
I like cereal a little bit more for snacking throughout the day. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's mine.
Ooh, that's a goodie.
Yeah. How about yourself? What was the cereal choice?
It's what is it? I don't know. It's Great Grains, I think. It's something my wife gets at
Wow,
health.
that's healthy.
It's got some pecans, some dates, other things that won't make me fat.
Okay, good. Man, well, it's nice that she's looking out for you, keeping you healthy, keeping the grains going through you in the breakfast cereal. No marshmallows, no Lucky Charms, none of that stuff, right?
No, I have to sneak that stuff.
Yeah. Well, cool. Awesome. Well, why don't you be a favorite? Why don't you introduce yourself and tell my listeners, one, who you are and what the crowdfunding campaign is over on Kickstarter right now.
Well, my name's Kyle Sellers. I've done a few crowdfunding campaigns over the years, but this is the weirdest one I've ever done. It's for a band called Rock Sugar. And if you haven't heard of them, they're fronted by a guy named Jess Harnell, who is better known as Wacko from the Animaniacs. And he's been in the Transformers movies, Crash Bandicoot, all sorts of things. But for fun, he's got a mashup cover band that takes classic rock songs, mashes it up with pop hits, and performs them as if they're an 80s metal band. So
yeah, they're very cool. Yeah, the mashups are also like... Yeah, mashups are like crazy too, where it's like, what is going on here? I know these 4 songs, but they're like intertwined in a weird way,
Oh gosh, it's crazy. So they've got songs where it's like Crazy Train by Ozzy mashed up with Jesse's Girl, or Metallica mashed up with Journey, Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy. If you haven't listened, I recommend everybody go check them out because the content is just what's out of this world, man, in terms of mashing up. It's, it reminds me, I'm a huge fan of like Pomplamoose and Jack Conte, who did all that. They have that, and they have Scary Pockets, right? Like that was, they do those kind of weird mashups, more in the jazzy vibe. And, so I'm into those. I think those things are really, really cool. So what was the point of doing this crowdfunding campaign? Like, where did this sort of come together? How did you get involved with it? Kind of what's the story on that?
Well, it's funny. My wife's actually a voice actor. So through her, she heard this band and said, oh my gosh, this was made for you. You need to meet these guys. And so as I started talking to them a little bit, I said, you know what, you guys got to get this out there. And they were kind of gearing up to release another album. They're probably just going to put it up on the website and hope some people, found it and bought a few copies. And I said, no. This is, make a big splash, have some fun with it, and go the crowdfunding route. And after a little bit of convincing, they decided to get on board with the idea. And I think we've had a lot of fun since.
That's cool. So what are we trying to raise the money for this band?
It's pretty straightforward. We're releasing a new album. You can get the old album, you can get the new album. We've made a bunch of kind of collectible stuff because Jess Harnell, he comes from the voice acting world, so he does the Comic-Con circuit and all these different things. So we came up with some other collectibles like posters of different shows he's been on. So you can get a poster of Rock Band that looks like it's the style of Animaniacs, things cool. like that. So we decided to really go after that kind of geek market and make some cool things to come along with it. That's
very cool. So as you're sort of not only convincing kind of them that maybe we should do crowdfunding, and again, I'm sure they have a different business model of being a cover band, mashup cover band type of thing, right? Probably playing shows.
It complicates things.
Yeah, it complicates things. So what are you sort of presenting and putting together in terms of videos and photos and graphics for the page? Like what are you trying to source to tell this story as to why you're doing this?
Well, it's funny because the first album came out about 10 years ago. It was, racked up millions of views on YouTube for some of their music and whatnot until they had to pull it down. But if you read in the liner notes, and this is what really attracted me to them, it has this story about how this band was the biggest band in the world, got lost at sea and ended up trapped on an island. And the only thing they had to listen to was this 13-year-old girl's pop music collection. So when they got rescued, they came back and they all of a sudden were combining pop and metal. And so I came up with this idea. It's like, let's continue the story, but instead, this time you've been kidnapped by the guy whose boat you were performing on and wrecked. And so now you're trapped and you're being forced to perform for the granddaughter. And that works out well because some of the new tracks combine, modern pop hits and whatnot. And we don't really say what the new songs on the album on. The only ones I'll mention are there's a mashup with Scorpions and Adele, and then we've got this giant mashup with like Tears for Fears and Motley Crue and Led Zeppelin that's going around. But so we approach the video from that way is let's make this story kind of like a behind the music documentary parody about how the band got kidnapped, and so that's our Kickstarter video.
That's cool.
It's been fun because we can also do some updates and stuff where he's pretending, I'm sorry, not pretending, where Jess is being held captive in a dungeon and, sneaking out these messages.
Yeah. Well, I think, one of the things that is also like, I think attractive with this is a lot of times if the music projects take themselves too seriously, or just like, they're so like, this is our art, right? It makes for a crowdfunding page or an entire campaign of just like, we get it. You're trying to make your art. I get it. And there is a likeness to like good campaigns, right? Like, and this campaign is just oozing with it. Maybe too much to some degree, right? Like could be, but I'm just saying like
a possibility.
Yeah. But it makes it fun and it makes it engaging. It makes you want to come back, to get you actually want the updates as to some campaigns where people are like, I know I already bought it. I bought the thing.
Yeah. It's so funny because, everything I've worked on before from the crowdfunding side, it's always been a product. And with a product, you make a list of here's the benefits, here's what it is, here's the price, here's the scarcity. We only have so many. But with the music, you're selling digital songs. What do you do? And so we decided to go all in with like, let's tell this story and let's unveil the story as we go along the way. And it's been a lot of fun. People seem to be digging it.
Yeah, that's very cool. So how did you work through, for a project like this, finding a goal structure, because again, I think art and music is really challenging right now on Kickstarter. I know the platform is designed for it originally, but like you got to have your, what together. And these last interviews I've done with musicians, they're pretty well established bands, right? Like they're not, hey, the four of us just got together in a garage and made some songs. We want to crowdfund like that. Those days are just long gone, right? So like, what were you looking for in terms of, all right, this is a goal number we think is achievable and successful. This would actually allow us to actually get this project done. How did you kind of walk through the numbers and the math of this campaign?
Well, for the most part, the album's going to come out no matter what. Right. It's some way or another. So we don't actually need the money, except we want to blow it up. So you need a certain amount of money coming in so that you can continue to market and promote it and, do graphic design, things like that. So we picked a number out of thin air and then, changed the last four numbers to all be sevens. So it's 27,777. And so that was about as much thought as went into that.
Yeah.
As far as rewards and whatnot, that was where it really got tricky because, a lot of people, they just do, hey, it's a digital download. Well, that's fine. You put $10, $15 digital download. There's the album. Congrats. Like, you got it. Now you got to start thinking of other rewards to go with it. And I kind of wanted to make the rewards a little bit different. So what we did was, instead of it being a digital download, we were making these collectible album coins with a QR code in order to get your digital download. Because then you have something tangible that you can hold on to at the end of it. And because you're selling something, you can mark it up a little bit more than a $10 album download.
Sure.
So $25, and you get something cool and collectible. And then we just started adding on different bonuses we thought we would appeal.
Well, and I thought that one, totally. I think that one was intriguing to me because what you said earlier is that you knew that this audience you're going after is in the Comic-Con world, potentially some of the board game world, like where coins and tokens and all of these things are like, collectibles. Like people want this stuff, right? Like that, so if you look at the board game world on Kickstarter, it's all about that stuff. And you guys are like, your audience at the end of the day is what I'm really saying, right? Like I know who's going to get into this.
Have you ever done like a comic convention or something like that?
No, but I had like a guy on my team for a long time who was all about it. And he had pictures and stories and we would talk about it all the time, but I personally haven't, but I know it's like, this seems like a crazy world.
It's one of those things. So people will stand in line and they'll spend $50 to get a signed picture.
Yeah.
It's like an 8x10 signed thing.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, if people want to buy that, why not make those rewards that we can add on? And I've been shocked at how well some of them have done.
Yeah.
And then one other thing that's kind of cool that if I was in another band would consider is we did something. It's a $225 all-in package. And what it actually includes is a third coin that gives access to the vault. And that's basically where you go and you clean out the closet, everything that you almost released but didn't, everything that you can find. It's like, hey, here it is. Here's it all. And people have been excited about that.
Yeah, that's cool. So one of the things when I worked with a ton of bands doing this was getting band members on board, like the personality types in a band. What, in terms of maybe almost your sales pitch to like, the band member who's like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? How are you, but how are you explaining crowdfunding? How are you explaining benefits of it? And like, look at it differently. It's not charity. It's not a donation. They're, walk me through like how you were kind of maybe, and I don't know if the band members are like this, but I just know back in my day, I'd always have a bass player who'd be like, I'm not doing this, man. I'm not asking my friends and family for money. You know what I mean? Like, how would you navigate that sort of conversation as to why it would be a benefit for this project to do it?
Well, gosh, I think it was about a 10-month process.
Yeah.
It really was, except 9 of those months were just sitting around and waiting for them to come back. Because once they came back, it's like, okay, we've thought about it. We decided we wanted to. I was like, oh, okay. I thought you guys forgot about me. But no, once I approach it to them, I say, hey, listen, everybody can release a CD. You can put it out there. You can put it on, online for sale. Some people are going to find it. If you tell some people about it, maybe more people will buy it. Or you can do something where you take all of this energy, all of this interest, and you focus it on one single event. It's a 1 month period, and everybody's going to be focused on that. That's a fan of the band, and then it's like your resume booster. Mm-hmm. From now on, when you go and you talk about the album, you're like, hey, listen, you raised this amount. Right now I think we're at like $55,000. Yeah. You say, hey, 1,000 people helped make this album.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a cool story you can build on from there. Once we kind of talked about that and how it could help fans to be involved in it, Jess was totally on board. Chuck was on board. It's just like, okay, you know what? Our fans are cool. Every time we run into them, they're awesome. And if we can find a way to involve them, and that's why we came up with a scavenger hunt idea as well, just a way for people to, be involved throughout the campaign instead of pledge and, hey, we'll see you in 30 days.
Yeah, it really is a really well done campaign to just keep people engaged. I mean, to me, like from afar, it pulls on a lot of the board game world, like in terms of just engagement throughout the campaign, the lightness. It still has music intertwined, the coin. I mean, all of it is it's a really, really well done campaign, and I think I'm something I hope our audience out there of musicians and artists listen to it so that they can see that it's. Man, you just got to do more than just, I put my songs on Spotify. Like you just like, who cares?
Yeah.
Okay. You got to do more.
And one of the cool things about it is, and like most of what you do, you're primarily products. And I know you've done a lot of music campaigns as well. But one of the cool things that we just rolled out, and this is my recommendation to anyone running a music campaign, is you don't have real scarcity other than if you say, hey, if you don't order by this, you miss out. Right. So what I've actually started to do now is I've started a backer giveaway where for the rest of the month of December, we're going to give away a song off the album ahead of time. We're giving away, we have this Don't Stop the Santa Man. It's like Metallica meets Journey, but it's Christmas themed. And so what we're trying to do is we're giving these away in backer only updates and saying, hey, by the way, if you're thinking about pledging, pledge now because you're going to get a bunch of stuff given to you before the end of the campaign. And if you wait till the last day of the campaign, you're not going to get this advanced copies and things like that. And I think it stays within the Kickstarter rules. But it creates urgency, like milestones along the way.
Yeah, and that's so crucial. I think product or music. I mean, you've got to. Why would I come back 2 weeks later? If I've forgotten about it, or if I backed, what's going to bring me back into this campaign and make me feel
if
excited.
You come back, I'm going to take your money still, but
right.
I'd rather get that in now.
Yeah, 100%. So, what's your journey like? Where does crowdfunding sort of fit into your daily conversations, your life journey here? How about your backstory?
Oh goodness, it's I'm actually an analyst at Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It's one of the NASA centers. And that's cool. I like it. We send robots to other planets. And,
yeah, that's cool.
It's fun. I use Excel a lot to help.
Right.
But crowdfunding has just been one of the most fun things I've ever been involved in. Many years ago, I was on a QA team for a company, and they fundraised for a video game called Shantae. And at the time, I think it raised $800,000. And that was when I started to think about it. I was like, oh, goodness, that's kind of cool to watch.
Yeah.
Years later, after I got my MBA and whatnot, I did my own crowdfunding project for chess books for kids. It helped my old chess coach out. Nice. I was like, oh, wait, this actually works. It's nothing too impressive. It's like 30 grand. But and then from then on, I jumped on another campaign and went through the whole pre-launch thing. And I was like, okay, I learned all of this doing my campaign. Here's everything I read in a book about marketing. And it ended up doing like almost $2 million.
Wow.
And it was on Shark Tank shortly after. And I was like, okay, something's going on here. And this is a lot of fun. I want to keep doing it. So I've done a number of campaigns since. And this is the weirdest one, though.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Well, just so our listeners knows, you and I chatted about this a couple weeks ago of just like, I don't know, man, this is a weird one. There's it was a hard one to kind of put our finger on of like what to do,
And you agreed with me, in an ideal world, would have spent months more, kind of developing that launch list and whatnot. But with Animaniacs coming out, there was that tie-in, and we just kind of decided we had to launch it now. But I'm glad it didn't go as bad as I had feared when we were talking.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm glad we're talking about the successfully funded version of this and not the, you might have to try again.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but one of the things too, I think, I'm assuming you had to rest your head. You had to sleep a little bit easier at night, I should say, is at least you know that the band has a ton of talent. There is an audience. There is a plethora of content. They're clearly tied in guys, right? So it's not like you don't have something there, right? Like it's
a little bit different than if you're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
If I was like trying to launch an e-bike and I had like 1,000 people on an e-list,
right? Yeah.
I wouldn't be feeling too good about it. But it's a band that's been around for 10 years, has kind of this cult following, and I just didn't have any experience in it. So I'm Mr. Nervous Nancy, where I'm like, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know. Okay, guys, I'm going to push the button, but don't get your hopes up.
That's great. That's great. So, when you're sort of navigating not just this project, but all projects, what are you looking for when it comes to like the project creator? Because this is one of the things that we harp on all the time, and it ties in a little bit to the music of like, you need to have a little bit of a front man in your crowdfunding campaign, somebody that always is responding. Maybe the updates are coming from their voice or the emails. Do you find that that's something that you try to find too, is like, does this company have somebody that can be the face to this project in crowdfunding?
So as far as there being an individual to be the face of it, that hasn't been something that the way I've worked in the past, and I work with some buddies of mine who do videos, we usually end up having some sort of character created. With Final Straw, there was this mermaid character that was in the video, and all the marketing material revolved around that. But just for working with people, and I'm in a very different situation than you, where I don't have an agency. I'm just a guy who's done some projects, talked to dozens of other projects, and just really is passionate about this. I'm not going to work with someone unless I get along and unless I feel like you're involved in it too.
Yeah.
Because I don't, it doesn't work if someone says, okay, I want to do a crowdfunding campaign. All right, go ahead, do it for me.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's like you need some involvement. You need some people who are willing to try new things. And, you know, it's, you might send some emails. The worst thing is if you're like, hey, here's 15 emails we're going to send. And they come back and they say, I don't know, it seems too salesy. I was like, well, we're trying to sell something here. And if you don't keep telling people about it, they're not, you know, so there kind of has to be an openness to get out there and just, you know, go for it.
Yeah.
Hesitancy is going to kill you.
Yeah. We've also been working through, you know, and maybe you've experienced this as well and can speak about it a little bit around the idea of how you consume content is how you think everybody else will consume content, of like, I would never read a third email from somebody. And then you're like, yeah, but you don't realize that they probably didn't read your first 2 emails, or, you know what I mean? Like, how, you know, it's your baby, you know, you may be tired of it, but they probably haven't even seen it. So like, I'm always trying to like, just how you can, just because you consume that way doesn't mean that everybody else consumes that way. Like, you got to send emails, you know, you got to reach out, you know, you got to ask your friends, you know. And
anybody listening here, they've heard you say this probably dozens and dozens and dozens of times, but there's a good chunk of them who are like, I don't know if I really need to spend that long generating. No, you do. Yeah,
I know.
There's a reason, you know, Fuzzy's telling you that.
Right. Yeah. I would love for it to be short. Listen, I would love for it to be really easy, right? Like, hey, we got 1,000 emails. We're good. You know? It is. It is frustrating sometimes.
And one of the things that I've gotten the most pushback on some of the campaigns I do is I like to do a pre-order lead page. So I collect email addresses, but I also like to try to get someone to put $1 down.
Yeah.
I call it like a fast pass reservation. I know Launch Boom does a lot of this.
Yeah.
But it's been so invaluable because, you know, I'm when I'm talking to a creator, they're saying, well, why wouldn't I just wait for the Kickstarter? Well, because you know what Kickstarter is, and a lot of people don't. And if you can, you know, make them feel like it's more of a traditional pre-order where they're paying $1 and then they're going to have access, you know, it eases them into it. Plus it helps qualify buyers. So not to get too much into the weeds, but that's something I've been doing recently, and I'll never go back. Yeah,
we do it. We do it quite a bit as well. Probably for the last 2 years or so, it's been a pretty big strategy, especially when we have a company that's a little bit more established, where I know that, like, listen, they've got an audience. We don't have to do quite as much, but I do want to. How much is my cost per acquisition, right? Like, you know, because it's, even though I'm only getting $1, I am assuming that at some point they would give me the rest, right? So like, you can at least work out some math. And then the other thing is that when we have like brand new companies where like their Facebook page has 5 followers, you know, and I'm one of them, and that's it. Then I'm doing like some sort of giveaway to, like, you know, at least shake the tree. Like, we got to at least make some noise, you know, there's nothing here, you know, then I will qualify them with doing the $1 thing, or, you know, or some sort of page like that. But, you know, again, it's just, and at some point too, I'm like, it's all about, we have a math equation in front of us here, people. Like, it's not, you know, here's the conversion rates that are pretty typical. Here's how many people, here's your cost per, you know, your $50, $79, $100, $2,000, whatever it is. Like, there's a math equation here that we just have to get to, you know, and sometimes that might take a month. Sometimes
do you spend a lot of time? Do you spend a lot of time working with projects on price points too? Because I feel like that's the big thing is I'm finding that with Kickstarter projects, you need to feel comfortable asking for a premium to some extent, because if you're selling something for $15, you know, that means what are you going to be able to do is spend $4 or $5 on ads for every customer you get. But if you're selling the same thing for $25, you know, it people might be just as interested in it. They might not be saying it's such a great deal or a discount, but at least then you have some money to play with and trying to figure out how to get customers to the page. Yeah,
for us, it's next to impossible for us to be working on anything that's like under $25. It's almost, I just work, it's like the math just, dude, we need like 5,000 backers or 15,000 back. The numbers just get so astronomical where I'm like, what? You know, you're going to be a unicorn at some point here. You know, it's just tough. It's just tough. And it's been hard for us recently, just Facebook ads wise. Like, it's been so expensive this year. Like,
well, I'm hoping that it's going to settle down a bit now that the election's over, because I have been frustrated with the last campaign I did, just that you couldn't get your ads in front of enough people without spending an exorbitant amount of money.
Like $40 for 1,000 impressions or something. You're like, woo.
Oh gosh, that's not going to work at all, Matt.
Yeah.
Your math equation gets all screwed up.
Yeah, it certainly does. It certainly does. So how are you maybe deciding what's a project that you think you could work on, right? Maybe it's just a personal connection with the person, but when you're looking at it, what are you going, this would be cool. This would really work.
So far, everything has been through personal connection or a referral through a personal connection. I think what's most important is it needs to be something that you've got some margin in the product.
Yeah.
Because if, one of the campaigns I did, it was for a paddleboard. They're about $1,000, and until they hit a certain number of backers, it was costing $600-700 to manufacture. So that leaves you, 30% margin. You take off the Kickstarter fees like that. So that's where I learned my lesson that, you got to have enough margin that you can have money there to acquire customers. The other thing I like to think about is this something that even matches with Kickstarter? Does it fit? I did recently a software project. It's a fantastic software product, but it didn't quite fit with the Kickstarter audience necessarily. And so if you can have margin and it makes sense for Kickstarter, I think you can really do it as long as you can tell the story.
Yeah.
If you're just going to throw something up there and you don't tell the story before the campaign and during the campaign, you're not going to have success. And so if you are willing to kind of, do the work to tell your story, get people interested in it, then I think you got a good chance of success. And now for me, I'd like to make as much money as possible.
It's a part of the equation.
Otherwise, I got a day job.
Right. Yeah.
But that's not really what I tell people.
Sure. 100%. Yeah. I get that.
I won't work on anything if I don't think that it can raise at least 6 figures.
Yeah. We're kind of the same player. It's like, again, math equation, it won't work, guys. The math just doesn't line up for any of this. But,
if I'm going to spend 100 hours and it's going to raise $30,000 and I get a cut of that, then my wife's unhappy because she watched the baby late a few nights without help. And and so.
Yeah. Where do you see, Kickstarter going in 2021, 2022, especially if we are so dependent on Facebook ads right now to drive traffic? Like, what if a lot more people continue to get off Facebook and we're left with what?
Yeah, that is. So I try to avoid Facebook ads as much as possible, but it's the only place I advertise.
Yeah. Right.
What I mean?
I say the same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you if you're going to run ads, you got to run them on Facebook right now. I'm sure some, with this music video, we're going to begin turning on some YouTube ads and whatnot too. But I mean, I don't think you can really just trust ads to do all of the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah.
It really comes down, it's like and this is something, a takeaway from this project is that if you can have people actively engaged and responding, then they will help spread the word for you. But if you're just going to post an occasional update and send an email once a month, no one's excited, no one's engaged. Right. And then you're going to have to do all the heavy lifting, writing checks to Mark Zuckerberg. So I think if going forward, every campaign I'm going to be involved in is definitely going to have some strategy for engaging with backers, because it's just in my opinion, it's a much better return on investment. Spending a few hours a week talking to people versus spending $2,000 a week running ads.
Right. And
but I'm no expert in this. Yeah.
Sure. Hey, but it's good to have at least other people who say these same things, right? That's why, like, half the time I do this podcast, I'm like, hey, people don't want to believe me, then listen to this guy. He's saying some stuff that's pretty similar. I don't know.
I've listened to a lot of what you've said, and it's worked out all right for me.
Yeah, good. Yay, it's working. When you are working on campaigns, one of the things that, again, I think I try to find questions that I've heard from project creators, right? Like, where, and not this one specifically, but maybe some of the other campaigns, what are you looking for in terms of knowing that, like, your content is up to par? right? Like you've got the prototype or whatever it might be. And you're like, all right, I'm going to go tell this story that we just kind of loosely talk about, but what's in it? What are you doing to say, that's not the right photo or video for this, or the prototype doesn't look good enough, or whatever it might be, that to make sure you're really putting your best foot forward, even though you might not have the final product yet, you know?
So one of the big things that I have done is, I'd say over the last year and a half, I have obsessively stalked every single Facebook ad account for anybody running ads for Kickstarters. I use a program called Snagit, which is great for taking and organizing screenshots. At this point, I've got probably 50,000 different ads over time. And I've started to see that, hey, here are the trends for products. You need the lifestyle photo. A big popular one, I know Gel Up, Launch Boom, and Ventus, a lot of times they'll do this, is they will take a picture and they'll just kind of casually have the product in the shot with a red arrow pointing. It's something like that. So you need those sorts of photos. You need product glamour photo. You need these different types of things. And then when there's a campaign I really like, I'll go and I'll dive in and I'll see what they're doing, because at the end of the day, there's only so many ways to present things. And at this point, with hundreds of thousands of successful projects on Kickstarter, they've all been done. You want to see the ones that are successful. They're probably the ones you want to copy, not the one who looks all cool and, oh my gosh, this is so creative. David Ogilvy used to say something about how, are you making ads to win awards, or are you making ads to sell products? Right. And so guess what? This might look the same as many other ads or many other Kickstarter pages, but if it's selling, then I'll go that way every single time. Yeah. Yeah. You don't really have to reinvent the wheel half the time. That arrow thing is on I put an arrow on a gazillion ads. Yeah, there it is. It's this thing right here. You're buying this. The little live on Kickstarter badge, or final days, or last chance. But it's also ad copy too. I mean, if you spend some time looking around an ad copy, you're going to start to see that the ads for the campaigns that are doing well oftentimes are very similar. In style. Yep. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So again, what we're talking about right now is just actually putting in some research, right? Like there are tools, the Facebook ads library has been like a game changer. Like, oh, you can just, they all are. It's like, just go look at them. Yeah. You know, when people are like, I don't know what we should do, you know? Maybe something that would be helpful is, and you might cut this out entirely, but would it be helpful if I were to put together a page that has all of the list of all of the different ad libraries for a lot of different Kickstarter marketers? Yeah. I mean, I have some stuff, but yeah. I mean, that would be awesome. I think everybody would enjoy it. It's basically, it'll basically be, I don't even know. It's dozens of different ad accounts for different categories, and you can take a look at it. Here, I'm going to write this down. And by the time this podcast goes live, go to crowdfundingmba.com/Jeff, and I'll make sure that there's a bunch of stuff there. Yeah, that'd be sweet. Be very cool. So, I guess in your mind, where do you see just the crowdfunding world going as an industry, as, what's in your mind for it? I don't know. It's like you could see a bunch of different things. Like right now, it seems that the dream of Kickstarter is a place for people to humbly approach the crowds and say, "Sir, I have an idea." Like that's gone now. Yeah. There's now. I think it is much more of a marketing game now than it ever was before, and so you have to package things up, and it's a sales vehicle. I don't know what's going to happen. I assume it's going to keep going this way. I have noticed, and this has been intriguing to me, is there are a couple companies that are doing their own crowdfunding. So I'm wondering a little bit if people are going to move away from Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Tropic Feel. Yep, that's what I was going to mention. A ton of money for their shoes. Yep, they're doing it. And here's another one that I just found out about. And I'm such a nerd. I should have known about this ages ago. But Hasbro Pulse. Have you heard of this? It's Hasbro. They make action figures, things like that. But now they're making limited edition and collector's items, and they have their own crowdfunding campaigns. It's like, hey, you want the, 24-inch tall, X-Men Sentinel with all these different things. Well, if we raise $800,000, you can get it, but only if you pledge by this. And so I'm starting to see crowdfunding happening off the crowdfunding platforms, and I'm a little suspicious that that's where things are going to start to go. It's funny you mentioned that. That is exactly where our heads are, because there is a Shopify, basically Kickstarter app,
right? It looks it's not Kickstarter, but it looks
Oh, really?
just like Kickstarter, right? So it's got the hero
Interesting.
video, the green bar, the amount you're raising, the time. I mean, then the stuff's below it. Your rewards are. So we've actually been talking quite a bit to like our more established companies of like, we're really driving tons of Facebook traffic. Only once in a while do we get Kickstarter love, right? Where like Kickstarter, actually champions us, but like, so if I'm driving all the traffic, what am I?
Why are you giving that cut?
Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And especially if it's like most of the people are coming from your email list, or, like we've got one company, they've got, 200,000 person email list. Dude, I just got to send the emails. What are we doing here, people? Like now we're making it more complicated just to say we're on Kickstarter, So I wondered, and that's why I think Tropic Fuel, I mean, I've interviewed them. They've been on the podcast. I've talked to them a few times. And I think that's what it is that, at some point, if you're doing a $4 or $5 million campaign or something, that's a pretty big cut.
That adds up. And it's funny, like for all of the products I've worked on, they've been new products. We didn't have the 100,000 customers or anything on the email list. So it makes sense to go to one of the platforms where you can get discovered, and it's at least familiar enough that a lot of the people who end up on the page will be like, oh, Kickstarter, I've heard of this. But if you did a series of $1 million campaigns and now you've got 250,000 people on your email list, why not just go right to them? Just skip that whole step. So it'll be interesting to see.
I wonder too, at what point does the backlash of crowdfunding campaigns that don't deliver makes a company go, actually the Kickstarter brand hurts my brand, right? And so that's one thing. The second thing, we actually had a ton of kickback because Kickstarter had the Black Lives Matter all over the top of it. And we had a campaign that was like, I am not into this. I don't want my audience like being politicized by and I'm like, okay, I agree. I hear you. I do hear you. But again, once you're a bigger company, these are the types of conversations you have. And I get it, but. Yeah.
I think it's a sad state where no matter what opinion you have, it means that, half the people are going to hate you.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agreement of that. But, these are the odd conversations. I'm like, I don't think we need to worry about that, man. I don't know.
Wait, you know what? Half the people listening now hate me because I just said that.
There you go. Now this is the political conversation. Yeah, let's flip.
Sorry, guys.
Oh man, people are amazing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think Kickstarter and Indiegogo are awesome. I think they're great. They serve a fantastic purpose, especially for entrepreneurs and people with a product or an idea or a vision who are willing to put the work together to present it appropriately. Yeah. But once you've gone that route, I don't know if it's necessarily the well you keep coming back to. Right. I know in the board game space, that's kind of a different situation because board games and comics, it seems like you just build up a following, and every time you launch, you go that route, and that makes sense there. But I don't think it does for a sneaker or something like that.
Yeah, especially if you might have 4 or 5 products total. Where comic books and board games, man, they're just we're kicking out expansion packs until we're blue in the face. It's
I've been listening to you when you've talked to a few board game creators, and I'm like, thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one who's somewhat mystified by how this all works.
Yeah, I play a few, but like half those conversations, I'm like, I don't know why is this game raising $700,000? What am I missing? Whatever.
Why are people paying $400 or $500? More power to them. I love it. I love that it happens. I'm like the biggest fan of anybody who can do that. Yeah. But for me, I think my wife would kill me if I brought home a $700 box of miniatures.
Yeah. Look, I bought this Stargate game. It was only $800. It's not bad, but it's got a big box. What? What did you do? Yeah. Our kids will play it when they're 16.
Gosh. Oh, I can't wait till my kids are big enough that I have an excuse to buy all these fun toys.
I'm not there yet either. Yeah, still not there yet. So, back to this campaign here, and we'll kind of wrap this up here. You got 20 days to go. I know you've got the giveaway stuff you're talking about and kind of new content. In your mind, what are you doing to just keep energy going, keep excitement going, especially since we're going through the holidays, right? Like we're going to be, we're going to go through those days where
I did everything wrong, didn't I?
Well,
I did everything wrong. I started a couple of days before Thanksgiving. It's running through Christmas and ending on New Year's Eve. So
they're tough times. I'm
Don't
not going to
do
lie.
that.
They're tough times. So, yeah.
So going forward, we actually just we've tried to keep content coming out. So we just put up a music video. It's got Mark Hamill, Weird Al, a whole bunch of people contributed footage
it's cool.
for this music video, and so we're hoping that brings some attention to it, and it also gives band members something to go on the radio and different podcasts and talk about and be like, hey, you want to hear this? Check out this video. Weird Al and Mark Hamill are in it. So
yeah.
That's one of the approaches. And for now, at the point where I think we've kind of tapped out on our organic reach.
Sure.
I'm emailing. Every email brings in a few $100s less now. So I think we're about to turn on ads again.
Yeah.
For something like this, I didn't want to run ads from day one because I don't want to spend money to get people who are going to buy anyways.
Right. Makes sense.
So, but now we're kind of at that lull point in the middle, and it's time to run a few of those. If they work terribly, turn them off and figure something else out.
Right. Yeah. And then how do you coach the client to make sure that they're giving out rewards and stuff like that, and like that timetable for once this campaign ends and you start into that the delivery process?
You're gonna hate my answer. I have a feeling I'm gonna be sticking around and involved for a while. So
yeah.
I'm moving by the end of the month, so we're gonna have a new garage, and it's probably going to be filled with a bunch of junk furniture.
Nice.
Not junk.
Yes.
My wife would call it junk.
Right.
But,
yeah. Congrats on that move, man. So you're moving at the end of the month, huh?
Yeah. So it's we need to be out the same day this Kickstarter campaign ends. So
that's perfect timing.
I've made a lot of bad decisions in my life. But yeah, it's we're going to explore the fulfillment house route because I mean, it's such a pain.
Yeah.
I've done this a few times. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So,
and well, let's talk a little bit just about
we'll
like shipping and handling for like this. Cause I think this is more challenging than, hey, my product, I got 500 square boxes, right? Like that's just what they are. This one seems like it's got more stuff, but you do have some digital options. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff going on here in terms of delivering.
So this was very strategic. Everybody is asking right now, they want t-shirts. Mm-hmm. In my experience, the two things I never want to deal with in a Kickstarter are t-shirts and mugs. Yeah. They're nightmares to deal with.
Yep.
So every reward that we have fits in either a small envelope or 8x10 envelope. So if you notice the posters, the sign thing, they're 8x10. Right. So they fit in an 8x10 hard envelope. The coins, you slip a few in there, and that's your album coins. Every reward we have fits into one of those. And then we're also doing, some of the rewards are digital, like a virtual record release party. Mm-hmm. Jess Harnell will read something for you in whatever character voice you want.
Yeah, that's cool.
Things like that. So like half the rewards are digital and the others all fit into one single envelope. And I think, and that's the thing with mailing CDs, you end up with, you got to get padded CDs, things like that. So by going this route, it's going to hopefully make our lives a lot easier, but that doesn't mean I want to do it.
Right. But you also, I think you did worldwide shipping too, if I'm not mistaken. So did you have to navigate any of those waters to make sure, again, it's not costing $80 to ship to Italy, or something? Yeah.
So the being in a standard 8x10 rigid envelope, that helps a lot with it. Yeah. You're not having to pay the exorbitant. When I did the paddleboard campaign, it was Easy Eddie paddleboards. There were times where it would cost $2,400 to ship a paddleboard across the world. We're like, man, what did we do? This is horrible. Yeah. Because we checked shipping for 4 or 5 different countries. We're like, okay, it looks like it's going to be on average $800 or $900. But then someone ordered, in some like mountain village in some far off country, and it has to go up on a donkey or something. I don't know, but it's like 4 times the shipping price. And so
shipping and handling, man. I have told many times, I think I killed 2 companies by mismanaging shipping and handling early in our days when we didn't realize, when you're figuring stuff out and you're like, it'll be fine. We checked. It's US and Canada's only $10. So it should be fine. Right. Germany's 38. What?
And people love us in Germany.
Oh no. We have to ship 100 there.
Yeah, that adds up quick.
It does, man. It does. So. That's why I'm always like, please, client, go work on shipping and handling. Like, you handle that. I got the emails. I can write the emails. You know? Well, that's cool. That's cool.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. It seriously has. This campaign, it's the weirdest one. You know, it's not my biggest campaign, but it's been the most fun.
I'm sure.
It's some awesome music, working with awesome guys. You know, we filmed our video 2 doors down from, William Shatner's house. It's just like, there's been a lot of weird experiences involved in this.
That's cool.
And I'm glad people are digging it.
Yeah, that's why I know for us, that's why we still do entertainment. Like our documentaries have been like our most fun projects, you know, because they're always in the rock music world, you know, because it's like that's our bread and butter. Mm-hmm. So like, you know, when we did the Cream documentary, and you know, we're filming Alice Cooper in a Fort Wayne hotel because he's on tour, and we're in just like this little hotel room without. Okay, it's Alice Cooper. You know, it's literally the "we're not worthy." You know, let's film this. Yeah, you get weird. You get in weird scenarios when you got the music world. So. And how about you? Like, what does your like next year look like? I mean, are you looking for like a quota of amount of projects you're working on? Are you looking for something special? Do you have anything your own you're working on?
Nothing of my own yet. I keep telling myself I'm going to do another campaign, but that might happen next year, but probably not because I'm tired, man. Yeah. I've done a lot of campaigns recently. Yeah. No, I think what I'm going to try to do more is working. More kind of like an advisory role, you know, a coaching sort of role. My dream would be to work with campaigns, help them figure out some of the legal and business things that we've run into, help them kind of come up with a good marketing plan, and then have them go do the Facebook ads instead of me having to do it. Right. I think that's kind of where I'm leaning towards, because then I can work with more projects. Yeah, definitely. And, you guys have an agency there with, you've got all sorts of great resources. Yeah. I got a day job. I don't know if I want to, go rent out an office and bring in people and then all of a sudden be responsible for giving them enough work. Yep. So I think I'm going to,
there's some weight on the shoulders over here. We got
maybe I'll be a podcast soon.
There you go. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Maybe I'll be doing the podcasting route just like you.
Hey, more the merrier. Right? More conversations.
I don't know.
That's cool. Well, let's flip over.
I just want to go back to a restaurant soon. That's my 21.
That would be nice, man.
Goal. Go to
I would love to take the wife out and just chill. Actually just sit down for
maybe
nice
see
tour.
A movie.
That'd be great. Yeah, just little things like that. Supposedly, but I heard it's not real, that whole coronavirus thing. Back to the political.
Oh gosh, right. You lost the other half now.
Now we lost the other. Now everybody's mad. Now the reviews are destroying my my iTunes ranking.
Oh,
cool. Well, let's flip over. Let's do a quick lightning round. Nothing about crowdfunding. Nothing about any of this stuff. Let's talk about what's the latest thing you've watched in the old streaming world? iTunes, Netflix, Hulu, whatever it is.
Okay, so I would say for me, The Mandalorian, I'm obsessed with it. But my wife and I have actually been watching The Flight Attendant. Have you heard of this?
The Kaylee, the Big Bang, Kaylee Kook.
I don't know how you say it, but Penny.
Yeah.
It's very much not like Big Bang Theory, but it's one of those kind of mystery whodunit sort of things, and one episode to go, but it seems pretty solid.
How many episodes was that? Did it just all drop, or are they been rolling it out slowly?
It's the weirdest thing ever. I think it came out with like three episodes, then 2 episodes, and then 2 episodes, and now one more episode. Oh, okay. I don't know. But if you're listening next week, and they're all 8 are out.
Yeah. All right. That's, we watch a lot of Big Bang on the old just wasting time days, so we've seen that commercial like 100 times, and yeah, I may have to.
I'm going to recommend this is you and the wife watch it, not the little kids though.
Yeah, don't bring the kids. Okay, so it's not a family adventure, is what you're saying.
It's probably not the words you want to have going around in the house from the little ones.
Okay, I think that sounds like a good plan. We'll stay away from that. How about a movie? Has there been a movie though, just like a actual movie that you've watched?
There aren't a lot of movies anymore.
I know.
It's sad, but I'm trying to even think of what the last movie I watched was. It's been a while. You know what? Just to be controversial again, is My Scientology movie on Hulu.
Okay.
Have you heard? It was an interesting look. Some guy decided to do a documentary on Scientology.
Okay.
Interesting. I won't say more. Do you want me to pick a different movie?
No, it's fine. It's totally fine. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
We'll watch that one.
Ruin your show.
No, totally fine. Yeah, we're all about being controversial over here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you do
cool.
a great job.
Yeah. So how about podcasts outside of this one? I know any other podcasts that you're
Hey, I will say, I think I'm probably I don't know how many people have listened to every single episode of Successfully Funded, but I am one of them.
There's a couple.
There are. Okay. Well, we should meet up.
I should meet you. I got a guy named Shane. He's listening right now. He's gonna go awesome shout out. Yeah. Yeah. He's
Hey Shane, let's do lunch over Zoom.
Yeah.
Other podcasts, I will say Drabblecast. If you're into kind of weird short fiction, it's kind of got like a horror or it's just weird stories.
Okay.
Big fan of that. We actually did a Kickstarter campaign for them because I was the biggest fan in the world and it disappeared for a while. And I said, dude, you got to bring this back.
Yeah. But
they do great stuff. They just finished up Lovecraft Month. I guarantee you it will be the weirdest thing you ever listen to.
Okay. That sounds like a good one. Yeah, I'd be into that. Yeah. How about books? You reading anything right now?
Books right now. You know what? It's a book that's been recommended it has been recommended often to me. Influence by Robert Cialdini. Have you heard of this? Basically, it's a psychology researcher, and his whole thing was let's study what makes people do things, and you could use it for good or bad. But it's really interesting. Yeah. Just kind of hearing about one of the interesting stories that I just got to was about what are the guys that wore the orange robes at the airport?
Like
I forget what they're called, but it's I forget what they're called. It's like a sect of religious sect. But they found that
I know you're talking about. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, so they found that what they would do is they would go and they would put a flower into the hand of every single person they could do it, and then they would ask for a donation, and they'd be like, "No, I don't want it." It's like, "No, it's a gift. You have to keep it," and their donation rate went up astronomically because of it. And then when they needed to restock gifts, they would go and they would pull a bunch of flowers out of the trash that people had thrown away after donating to them. Right. Just like, it is amazing how the brain works. So just, these little things where you feel indebted to someone if they give you a gift. So it's an interesting book.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. How about like websites you go to for, marketing research, or like this is where I get the best information, or I love this Medium channel. I don't know, anything like that?
Well, you guys have so many great resources, first of all, over on Woodshed. Yeah. So I am there frequently. You always come up in Google search results.
Nice.
I spend more time for, I'll be honest, I spend a lot more time in the Facebook groups. Yeah. So there's a lot of good Facebook groups. I know now, and has one board game marketing group, Kickstarter board game marketing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a Kickstarter board game one I'm a part of that's really good.
There's a few groups like that, and then also like the ClickFunnels groups and stuff, which is just kind of it's the businessy side of things. Yeah, a lot of good discussions. I love hopping in those.
That's cool. Awesome. Well,
where should I go?
I do a lot on Medium. Yeah, I do Medium. There's I think it's called Better Marketer, and every article they're just fantastic, and they're always around like how I got my Instagram stories up 15%, right? And there's always like try these 4 or 5 things, and you're like, well, I'll try these 4 or 5 things, and pretty regularly you can get some pretty good results of it. So yeah.
Going there now.
Yeah,
you always ask these questions, and I want to know what is the right answer.
No right answer. We're all just learning from each other. So, well, where should people go? To obviously find out about the Rock Sugar Kickstarter, or just yourself. How do people get in your world?
Yeah, you know what? So if you're on Kickstarter, search for Rock Sugar. There will be a few days left by the time this goes up, and just at least watch the video. We'll listen to a couple songs. Yeah. If nothing else, you're going to end up smiling. And,
it's great.
We need more of that this year. Yeah. For me, you know what I'm going to do, and this is great because I'm saying I'm going to do it, and I've been putting this off, so now I'm going to have to do it. If you go to crowdfundingmba.com/Jeff. I'm going to put together a list of all of these places where you can start to begin your own swipe file, and you can see how people are running ads and get some inspiration there. So
very, very cool.
And now that I've said it, I have to do it. I've been meaning to do it for 6 months. So
yeah, now you have to.
It's going to happen, I swear.
That's awesome. Well, Kyle, I appreciate you taking time out of your day, man.
Page, then I'm sorry.
It'd be great. Yeah. So, man, I said, I appreciate you taking time.
Sorry,
man.
you just cut out there.
Oh, did I cut out?
Well, thanks, Jeff. It's fun. No, you're there.
Zoom. Come on, Zoom. What's going on here? Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's. I think it's still working. We're in like some weird delay pattern all of a sudden. So I'll just wrap it up, right? Like that's what we'll do here. Yeah. So, man, I appreciate you taking time, man. This was a great conversation. We obviously, I'm excited that we got to connect and can stay in each other's worlds here around crowdfunding.
Make crowdfunding more fun again.
Exactly. That's the whole goal here, man. Get the get everybody funded, right? That, as much as possible.
Yep. No, and have fun. That's the thing. If you're listening, have fun with your crowdfunding. Don't get all stressed out. Just have fun. If more people had fun while they did this, I think it will go a lot better for everyone.
I agree, man. Can't say it better than that, man. Well, Kyle, thanks so much for your time, man. I appreciate it.
All right.